This is a story about the moment you finally understand that the world will not slow down for your suffering. But get this, that moment is the closest thing you'll ever have to a real awakening. Ever notice how quiet the world gets when you're weak? Not the peaceful kind of quiet, the suffocating kind, the kind where you can hear everything collapsing inside you, and somehow nobody hears a thing. You think silence is calm, but it's not. Silence is a verdict. It's the universe saying, you're not strong enough for anyone to care yet. People pretend they're empathetic. They pretend they're supportive. But deep down, and you know this, no one is really losing sleep over your struggle. They're not lying awake, wondering how to help you. They're worried about their own chaos, their own ghosts, their own storms. You are background noise in a world busy screaming. And that hurts, doesn't it? It stings because you've spent so long hoping someone would finally look at you and say the words you've been dying to hear. I see you. You matter. You're trying. But the truth is darker than that. People don't applaud efforts. They applaud outcomes. They applaud dominance. They applaud strength they didn't have to believe in early on. It's brutal, but it's clean. It's honest. And honesty is the blade that carves you into who you're meant to become. Let me tell you something most people never learn. Weakness does not earn sympathy. Weakness earns invisibility. When you're weak, the world doesn't hate you. It simply forgets you exist. You've felt this. Those moments when you needed someone to show up, and all you got was unread messages, ghosted calls, and the echo of your own breaths. People love the idea of being there for you, but only when it fits their schedule, their convenience, their emotional bandwidths. When you're drowning quietly, nobody hears the splash. This isn't meant to depress you. It's meant to wake you up. Because if you can truly accept that nobody is coming, nobody cares, nobody feels obligated to save you, then you finally stop waiting. You stop hoping for a miracle. You stop rehearsing your excuses. You stop holding on to the fantasy that one day someone will swoop in and hand you the life you dream about. That's when something inside you starts to shift. Not motivation. Motivation is a spark. It dies the moment the wind changes. No, what awakens in you is hunger. A cold, steady, silent hunger. A hunger that doesn't scream. It breathes. Think back to your lowest moment. No, don't skip past it. Go there. Step into the memory. The moment where you felt stripped, exposed, humiliated by life itself. The moment you realized you were not who you pretended to be. You weren't strong. You weren't impressive. You weren't feared or admired or respected. You were fragile, breakable, replaceable. That moment didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It showed you the truth you needed to say. The weakest version of you has no future. That version of you dies the moment you stop protecting it. And that's the problem. You've spent so long defending your weaknesses, justifying them, explaining them, tucking them into bed like you owe them comfort. But read this closely. Your weakness will not protect you. Your weakness will bury you. And if you let it, your story ends there, in the cold shadow between effort and success, where most people spend their entire lives. But you're still here, listening, breathing. Something inside you is refusing to accept that fate. Good. Lean into that feeling. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not here to tell you you're enough. Because you're not. Not yet. And that's not an insult. That's an invitation. Because enough is the most overrated standard in the world. You're not trying to be enough. You're trying to become undeniable. To become a force the world cannot ignore. To become someone whose presence shifts the room. Whose silence carries more weight than other people's words. You think that comes from affirmations. From hoping. From journaling your dreams into existence. No. It comes from the cold realization that nobody cares about your pain. And the even colder decision to get stronger anyway. This journey isn't poetic. It's violent. It demands sacrifice. It asks for parts of you that you're afraid to surrender. Comfort, approval, your attachment to who you used to be. Strength is expensive, and the world charges interest. You will lose for it. You will walk alone for longer than feels humanly possible. But if you can endure that breaking point, the moment where the weak part of you begs to stay alive, you unlock something most people never touch: the ability to reshape yourself through sheer will. Not luck, not talent, will. And here's the part nobody tells you. The moment you stop waiting to be saved is the moment you become dangerous. Not violent, not reckless. Dangerous because you're no longer controlled by fear. Dangerous because you no longer break where you used to shatter. Dangerous because you understand, finally fully, that the world only respects strength. And strength is not gifted, it's carved. You ever wonder why the world feels heavier on some days? Why certain mornings feel like you're waking up underwater? It's because somewhere inside you, something is dying, or something is trying to be born. And pain is the midwife for both. Most people treat pain like an intruder. They flinch, they hide, they negotiate with it, trying to bargain for an easier life. But pain is not an intruder. Pain is the architect of strength. Pain is the mentor nobody wants, but everyone needs. Pain is the only force in this world honest enough to show you exactly who you are. When you're weak, pain exposes you. When you're growing, pain stretches you. When you're strong, pain sharpens you. The difference between those stages is not luck. It's not fate. It's not the universe aligning. It's the choices you make when the suffering arrives. Because suffering is not a punishment. Suffering is an invitation. You know why some people never change? Because they spend their entire lives avoiding the very thing that would have saved them. The breaking. You cannot transform without breaking. You cannot evolve without tearing apart the version of you that was built on fear, laziness, excuses, and inherited beliefs. Everyone says they want to evolve. Everyone says they want to be strong, until strength requires solitude. Everyone says they want to grow, until growth threatens the identity they've clung to for years. You say you want to change, but are you willing to kill the parts of you that keep your life small? The part of you that hesitates, the part that seeks validation, the part that waits for permission to live, the part that hides your ambition so you don't look arrogant, the part that would rather be comfortable than exceptional. That version of you is a cage, and if you want to walk free, you will have to destroy it. Let me tell you a secret only strong people understand. Strength doesn't feel like a reward. It feels like a scar. You don't gain strength. You sacrifice for it, piece by piece. Strength is built from every heartbreak you endured, without letting yourself fully collapse. Strength is built from every night you forced yourself to keep breathing, when your mind begged for an escape. Strength is built from every failure that laughed in your face, while you refused to let it define you. Strength is built from every morning you rose, not because you were ready, but because staying down felt like betrayal. People see the surface and call it strength. They see the calmness, the silence, the control. They see the aura that feels unshakable, but they never see the blueprint underneath. The trauma you stitched into armor, the tears you hid until they dried into resolve. Strength is not light. Strength is density. It is the compact weight of everything that tried to break you, compressed into something unmovable. Let's talk about fear. Most people think fear is the enemy, but fear is just a compass. Fear points directly to the areas of your life where you are weak, where you still hide, where you still lie to yourself. Fear is a map. Where fear grows, power sleeps. Cowards avoid fear, and in doing so, avoid themselves. Strong people track fear like prey. They follow it into the caves of their own mind. They listen to its warnings, but they do not obey them. They step into the darkness anyway, not because they're fearless, but because they're willing. That's the real difference. Weakness is born from avoidance. Strength is born from confrontation. Think about your own life. Think about the fears you try to bury. The fear of being judged. The fear of failing publicly. The fear of not being enough. The fear of starting over. The fear of ending up alone. The fear of disappointing the people who barely show up anyway. You think these fears protect you. They don't. They imprison you. And here's the truth you've avoided. Every fear you refuse to face becomes a chain around your potential. Break the chain, and the fear dies out with it. But face the fear. Truly face it. And that's when power begins to bloom. Because fear, once confronted, becomes energy. It becomes motion. It becomes hunger. Your greatest strengths are always hiding behind your greatest fears. So if you want strength, you must walk through fear, not around it. And that brings us to the part almost no one is willing to talk about. Strength demands isolation. Not forever, not as punishment, but as a rite of passage. You cannot rebuild yourself in the same environment that broke you. You cannot become powerful while surrounded by people invested in your weakness. You cannot rise while standing in the same circle where your old self belonged. There will be seasons in your life where the silence becomes heavy, the nights stretch long, and you feel like you're disappearing from the world. Good. That's the cocoon. Every transformation requires solitude, because nobody can hold your hand while you're sculpting a new identity. They wouldn't understand the pain anyway. Not the kind that doesn't show on your face. Not the kind that whispers instead of screams. Not the kind that reshapes your bones from the inside out. Let them think you're distant. Let them think you're cold. Let them think you've changed. Because you have. And because you must. Isolation isn't loneliness. Isolation is incubation. It's where the weak part of you dies. It's where the strong part of you begins. Here's a truth so sharp it cuts clean. You cannot rise with your old life attached to your ankle. Something has to break. Something has to end. Something has to die. And that something is you. Not all of you, just the version of you that was never meant to survive. The world will not carry you through that breaking. This is a fight between you and who you refuse to be anymore.